I was standing in the dimly lit hallway of a luxury apartment building in the West Loop, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. Through the heavy oak door of Unit 402, I could hear the muffled sounds of upbeat jazz and the unmistakable, melodic trill of my wife Elena's laughter. In my hands, I held a large, beautifully wrapped box with a silver bow, a housewarming gift for the secret life she thought I knew nothing about. My hands were shaking so violently I had to brace the box against my hip, but my mind was cold, calculated, and ready. I knew that within the next 10 minutes, the woman inside wouldn't just be surprised, she would be destroyed. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand why I was standing outside a secret apartment with a gift that would make my wife collapse, I need to take you back to where the first crack in our perfect life appeared. From the outside, Elena and I were the couple people used as a benchmark for success. We'd been married for 8 years. I'm a senior consultant, she's a high-end interior designer, and we lived in a restored brownstone in Lincoln Park that looked like it belonged on the cover of a magazine. We had our rituals: Sunday morning crepes at that little French bistro on Clark Street, our annual hiking trip to Sedona, and a shared language of inside jokes that I thought formed an unbreakable bond. Everyone told us we were the golden couple. The first crack didn't look like a betrayal. It looked like a clerical error. It was a Tuesday evening, around 6 p.m. Elena was at the office, finishing a pitch for a new client. I was looking for a misplaced tax document in our shared home office when I found a crumpled receipt in the back of a drawer. It was from a high-end furniture boutique we both liked. The total was $4,000 for a custom velvet sofa in forest green. I frowned. We hadn't bought a new sofa in 3 years. I checked the delivery address on the receipt. It wasn't our home. It was an address in the West Loop, a trendy, expensive part of the city. I assumed it was for one of her clients, but something felt off. The sold to name wasn't a corporate account or a client's name. It was Elena's maiden name, a name she hadn't used in nearly a decade. That should have been my first warning. I told myself she was just helping a friend or maybe doing a pro bono project she hadn't mentioned. But what came next was so much worse. If that receipt was the first crack, the next few weeks were the shattering of the glass. I started noticing a pattern. Elena, who usually valued our quiet evenings together, was suddenly swamped with emergency installs and late-night site visits. She was always exhausted, yet she'd spend an hour in the shower every night when she got home, as if she were trying to wash something off her skin. I decided to do something I'm not proud of. I logged into our joint savings account. We usually only used it for major repairs or vacations. I saw 3 separate withdrawals of $5,000 each over the last 2 months. When I asked her about it over dinner, she didn't even blink. She reached across the table, squeezed my hand, and said, "Oh, honey, I told you. I'm investing in a small boutique firm with a former colleague. It's a side hustle. I wanted it to be a surprise when the first dividends came in." She smiled that dazzling, perfect smile that had always been my North Star. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But then I checked the GPS logs on our shared Tesla. Elena had been telling me she was working in the north suburbs for a wealthy tech mogul. The car's history told a different story. Every single day for 3 weeks, the car had been parked in a garage in the West Loop, the same neighborhood as that mysterious sofa delivery.
I felt a cold stone form in my stomach. I knew exactly what I had to do, but I had to be patient. I didn't confront her. I didn't scream. I became a ghost in my own marriage, watching her every move while pretending to be the doting husband. The real aha moment came when I found her old iPad in the guest room. She'd forgotten to sign out of her iMessage account. I sat on the edge of the bed, the blue light of the screen reflecting in my eyes, and read the messages that would end my marriage. The contact name was Design Assistant, but the messages were anything but professional. "The bedroom looks amazing. I can't wait to see you in it tonight. I love our little sanctuary, Elena. It feels more like home than my own place. The housewarming party is set for Friday, just the inner circle. He has no idea, right?" Elena's reply made my blood run cold. "He's clueless. He thinks I'm at my conference in Peoria this weekend. I've worked so hard on this apartment, Marcus. It's ours. A fresh start." Marcus. My stomach did a somersault.
Marcus was my best friend from college. He was the best man at our wedding. He'd sat at our Thanksgiving table and toasted to our everlasting love less than a year ago. I didn't cry. I didn't even feel angry yet. I felt a strange, icy clarity. I knew about the apartment. I knew about the party. I knew about the betrayal with my best friend. And most importantly, I knew exactly how I was going to deliver my congratulations. I spent the next 3 days acting completely normal. I even helped her pack a bag for her Peoria conference. I kissed her forehead and told her to have a productive trip. She looked me in the eye, told me she loved me, and walked out the door. She had no idea she was walking toward the end of her carefully constructed double life. I spent those 3 days working with a private investigator and a very expensive locksmith. I gathered every piece of evidence: the bank statements, the GPS logs, the photos the PI took of her and Marcus kissing on the balcony of Unit 402, and the legal papers I'd been hoping I'd never have to file. Which brings me back to that hallway. I took a deep breath, adjusted the silver bow on the box, and reached out to press the doorbell. The music inside stopped. I heard muffled voices, a giggle, and then the sound of heels clicking toward the door. The door swung open. Elena stood there wearing a stunning silk dress I'd never seen before. She was holding a crystal flute of champagne, her face flushed with excitement and wine. "Surprise!" she started to say, clearly expecting someone else. The word died in her throat. The color drained from her face so fast I thought she might actually faint right there. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She looked at me, then at the box, then back at me. Behind her, in the beautifully decorated living room, complete with the forest green velvet sofa, I could see Marcus standing by the kitchen island. He dropped his glass. It shattered on the hardwood floor, sending shards of crystal flying. "Mark?" Elena finally managed to whisper. Her voice was thin, trembling. What are you doing here? You're supposed to be at home. Peoria! I'm at a conference." "The conference in Peoria was canceled," I said, my voice eerily calm and steady. "And since I knew you were hosting a housewarming for your little sanctuary, I couldn't let the night go by without bringing a gift. After all, I did pay for the furniture, and the rent, and apparently the champagne." The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. The other guests, 3 of her inner circle friends who clearly knew about the affair, stood frozen, looking anywhere but at me. "Mark, please," Marcus started, taking a step forward. "It's not what it looks like."
I looked at him, the man I'd trusted with my life. "Actually, Marcus, it's exactly what it looks like. It's a beautifully designed apartment, paid for with my stolen savings, where my wife and my best friend have been playing house." I turned my attention back to Elena. Her hands were shaking so badly she had to set her champagne glass on a side table to keep from dropping it. She looked like she was shrinking. "Here," I said, thrusting the box toward her. "Open it. It's the most important piece of decor you'll ever own." She didn't want to take it. She looked at the box like it was a ticking bomb. "Open it, Elena," I repeated, my voice dropping an octave. With trembling fingers, she pulled the silver ribbon. The lid of the box fell away. Inside wasn't a vase or a painting. It was a stack of high-resolution photos the PI had taken, images of her and Marcus entering and leaving the building, holding hands at dinner, and one particularly vivid shot of them on this very balcony. Underneath the photos was a thick manila folder. She picked up the folder. Her eyes scanned the first page. It was a petition for divorce, citing adultery and financial fraud. Along with it was a restraining order preventing her from accessing any of our remaining joint assets, and a formal demand for the return of the $15,000 she'd embezzled from our savings. The moment she realized there was no way out, no lie big enough to cover this, she literally collapsed. Her knees buckled and she slid down the doorframe, the papers scattering around her like snow. She started to sob, not that quiet, pretty sobbing of a movie star, but a raw, ugly sound of someone who had lost everything in the span of 30 seconds. "Mark, I can explain," she gasped through her tears, reaching for my pant leg. It was a mistake. I was going to tell you." I stepped back, avoiding her touch. I looked around the room one last time. It was a beautiful apartment. She really was a talented designer. It was just a shame she'd built it on a foundation of lies. "You don't have to explain anything, Elena," I said. "The locks on the brownstone were changed an hour ago. Your clothes are in suitcases at your mother's house. And Marcus?" I looked at him.
his face a mask of shame. "You can keep her, but you're going to have to find a way to pay for this place yourself, because as of 5 minutes ago, the lease, which I found out was illegally signed in my name as a guarantor, has been flagged for fraud." I saw the realization hit Marcus. He wasn't just losing a friend. He was inheriting a massive financial burden and a woman who had just been stripped of the lifestyle she craved. The golden couple was dead. I walked out of that apartment and didn't look back. The air in the hallway felt cleaner than it had in months. As I waited for the elevator, I could still hear Elena's wailing from behind the door of Unit 402. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. I kept the brownstone, recovered the stolen funds through the settlement, and cut every single person from that inner circle out of my life. It wasn't easy, and there are still nights when the silence in my house feels a little too loud. But then I remember the feeling of that silver ribbon sliding through my fingers and the look on her face when the truth finally hit the floor. I'm not the golden couple anymore. I'm just me. And for the first time in a long time, that's more than enough. I've started over, not in a secret sanctuary built on lies, but in the real world, where the only person I have to trust is the one looking back at me in the mirror. And let me tell you, that's the best gift I ever could have given myself.